And like I mentioned, I was going to bring in a Democratic Congresswoman. Let me bring in Gwen Moore, Democrat from Wisconsin. She also serves on the House Budget and Financial Services Committee. Thank you so much for being here. Are you getting any feedback yet? Maybe any inside information you can give on or pass along to us, giving you any kind of indication of what the website will look like and if they are, in fact, going to be able to keep that promise that this website should work for the vast majority by tomorrow?
TJ, I don't have any inside track or technical knowledge about how the launch, it's not a launch, or how the website will work tomorrow. But what I can say is this certainly has been a bad news story. And I can tell you that with the storms and the rain and the Republican as agitating because of it, really sort of obscures the rainbow at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, the good news story clearly is that there have been 13 million people who've gotten rebates from insurance companies because insurance companies have overcharged. There have been 17 million children who've received coverage, and it can no longer be denied coverage because of pre-existing conditions. And of course, that's going to be expanded to 100 million Americans when this thing is really put in place. And people need to keep their eye on the donut and not the donut hole. And speaking of the donut hole, TJ, you know, there have been $8.3 billion that 7 million seniors have saved by closing the donut hole. And so that's the good news. And
I don't think anyone would deny some of those things, and those are positives. And I think as we try to, like you say, Republicans are out there talking about what is going poorly, and Democrats are trying to remind people of what's going well. But you don't deny that the experience for a great number of Americans has not been a pleasant one in trying to sign up for the website. And that's what right now a lot of people are experiencing versus, I guess, paying attention to some of the numbers that you're giving to them.
Well, TJ, I mean, the worst story is not the people who have been frustrated trying to get online. The worst news is that, you know, time and money and effort that could have been spent doing outreach to the young people we need to sign up has not occurred. I just spent Thanksgiving Day and ran into at least 2 people who are under 34 years old, working full-time, have no health insurance, one of them exhibiting signs of anemia, exhibiting signs of high blood pressure, who are, you know, not only have not tried to get on the website, but really need to be educated about the benefits of the Affordable Care Act. You know,
who's not educating them, Congresswoman? Who's not educating? Who's not doing a good enough job of educating them?
We are spending all of our time talking about the catastrophic rollout instead of spending this money, this time, this effort, this media opportunity to let people know that, first of all, very many Americans will benefit from the Medicaid expansion that's occurred in many states. Unfortunately, that's not the case in my state here in Wisconsin. But many people will be shocked to find that they're eligible for Medicaid, who previously have not been eligible for Medicaid. 360,000 small businesses have already taken advantage of the tax credits available to them under the Affordable Care Act. And many people will find that they will get insurance coverage for less than they have been paying, and less than $100. This is the good news story that's not getting out there.
And there's another part of this. It's a political story. I do want to bring up something that David Nather wrote about today in Politico, saying the Democrats on Capitol Hill have their own nightmare scenario. The White House gives them nothing to brag about, no evidence that the site is actually working better, just as some of the most vulnerable Democrats are getting ready to blast the administration if they're not convinced it's fixed. Now, everybody's up for re-election next year. Are you excited to run on Obamacare because you know this is what Republicans are going to be talking about?
Well, you know, I have to admit, TJ, my constituents will disproportionately benefit from the Affordable Care Act in our state, where we have a higher than average unemployment rate in our district, and people are really needing the services. You know, and I feel for those vulnerable Democrats, but it's always the right time to do the right thing. And I think that these Democrats should stand on their vote for the Affordable Care Act, because once again, there are 40 million Americans who have no access to health care, and we do know that the mortality and morbidity rates are much greater among people who have no preventive care services, and the Affordable Care Act will provide 100 million Americans with preventive care services with no co-pays or additional costs. That's something worth fighting for. That's something worth bragging about.
All right, Congresswoman Gwen Moore, it is good to see you. Thank you so much for taking some time with us on the holiday weekend. I certainly hope to see you again.
Just let me say.
Yes, ma'am?
Let me say about the Fast for Families. Let's remember those families that didn't have anything to eat, and we should pray for a food stamp resolution.
Yes, ma'am. It's a good point to make. We were talking about that again just a moment ago. But Congresswoman, thank you again so much.